Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to share the topic on how do I know my perspective is limited. It's not really hard. To be able to recognize our limitation is to learn to be humble. When we become humble, we're able to observe ourselves and our environment, and to recognize that I do not know everything on this planet, in this universe. What I know may be just 1% of 1% of 1%. My knowledge, my understanding is limited. When we are not humble, we become arrogant, we become egotistical. We think that we know everything. We know that logic is number one. We think that the technology we have right now is the greatest. But we don't even recognize that our perspective, our upbringing, and everything around, everything that involves us is a limitation. Just by our thought is our limitation. Our perspective is a limitation. To recognize that are we limited by our thoughts, our emotion, and everything else, it has to be coming down our cognitive awareness. Right now, all that limitation is beyond our awareness. So we don't even recognize it. We don't even notice it existed. We don't even know it existed within our conscious awareness. That's why I think Mr. Moraine Cash has shared before, but people I think do not fully grasp the concept of stronger giving to the weaker. When we become humble enough, we become the taker instead of the giver. When we take knowledge from the universe, we take knowledge from everything around us, we take from other people. When we become humble, humble is lowering our frequency down. So when we become egotistical, arrogant, we knock that energy up. Then we are beginning to unable to intake anything else. We can push everything out because we think we know we have everything. Meaning our magnetic force is pushing things out. When we become humble, we become more gravitational. We begin to take everything in. We become more observant. So to be humble is the first step on the path of recognizing our limitation. In order to be humble, be able to step into that observer awareness, be able to observe ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, and our surroundings. When we're able to recognize that how small we are to everything, and that how much more we have to understand to learn, not just from knowledge of how things work, but we begin to recognize the limitation of our mind. What the limitation I'm talking about, the limitation I'm referring to is not limitless, but it involves mainly our perspective. Like, I'm not beautiful, I'm not handsome, I'm not smart enough, I'm not a healer, I'm blah, 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 blah. All that reason, all that thinking, thought pattern is a limitation. I will repeat. All that emotion, thought patterns is limitation. To step past our limitation is to let go of this thought pattern. But to be able to recognize our behavior, our thought pattern, our perspective is our limitations requires some time, because like I said before, it is outside our conscious awareness. When we become humble enough, when we're able to take stuff in slowly to raise our frequency, raise our energy consciousness level up further, then it will become within reach of our conscious awareness. Then we're able to receive it and to be aware of it. Then we're able to address it, deal with it, and overcome it. In order to overcome our limitation, we have to recognize it. But the problem with that is most people, when they are too arrogant, too egotistical, they don't recognize this limitation. They think they are king of the hill. So in order to get to the stage where we can able to recognize our limitation, we have to be humble. It's that easy, but it could be that easy or hard, I guess, depend on each person on where they are. But you know, it's hard to express everything in words because the limitation that people are not able to see is so vast, so huge that it is incomprehensible to the logical mind until you get to a stage of development where you call spiritual awakening, or just being woke. That's another topic. The difference between woke and being awakened. I will explain that in a different video. But when you have not get to the stage of awareness, you are pretty much limited in perspective of everything. And the only way to, it takes time. Time, I guess you can call it time to mature. When we mature to a certain level of understanding, to a certain level of awareness, then we begin to see our limitation. The more aware and conscious we are, the more we are able to see the different limitation that's inhibit us. And that is mostly self-inhibit. Then we can begin to let go of those limiting thought patterns and behavior and all those things subconsciously. Then we be able to attain more of self-mastery. We're able to be more in control. Then our consciousness and our vibration our frequency begin to rise more as we let go of all those limitations that we set for ourselves through our mind and to our perspective and to our tradition, to our upbringing and everything. Begin to let go, unconditioned, unlearn a lot of things that we have learned in the past. I guess you can call re-educating or uneducating ourselves and all the stuff that we have put in our mind before. Now we have to let go of all that stuff because those stuff is limiting us without us being aware of it. And to be aware of it, you have to be in that observer perspective. You have to be humble to know that I don't have the answer to everything. I don't know. The biggest problem with people is to accept it themselves, to admit to themselves that, and to declare that I don't know everything. I don't have the answer. But that doesn't mean you will not have the answer. I don't have the answer now, but I can look for it. I can find out. And that's what being humble means to admit that you don't know. And that's part of being a knowledge seeker is that to admit we don't know and we go looking for an answer instead of accepting something we don't know as fact. So to be humble is to know that we don't have the answer. And part of life and part of maturity, we go seeking for answer. And through that process of exploration and learning, we mature, we understand, and we're able to see more of our limitation. Thank you. And I wish you luck on your journey.